Hello, this is the Reluctant Marketer podcast. We explore marketing for people who don't want to do it, but feel they must. I'm Matthias Bohlen. Hello everyone, Matthias here again with another episode of the Reluctant Marketer. It's for people who don't really love marketing, but they have to do it, as we all have to do it, to be successful with our products and services. And I'm so happy to have Marie here today from Tally. Hello Marie, nice to have you.
Hi Matthias, thank you so much for having me.
Marie, can you tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about what you do and what Tally is?
Yeah, definitely. I co-founded Tally around 2.5 years ago together with my co-founder and partner in life, Philip. Tally is a form building tool. It's a very easy way to create beautiful forms and surveys without having coding skills. I have a background in mainly B2B marketing, so not really in product and in SaaS. So this was also very new to me. I am the non-technical founder. So Philip is basically designing and building the product, and I am trying to market, sell it, and run the non-technical sides of the business. So yeah, that's it about me.
That's great. If two founders work together, it's much easier than for solopreneurs, for example, who have everything to do on their own, right?
Yeah, really I mean, I have a lot of respect for solo founders. I'm not sure how they manage because we were both full time. We have a team of 4 now since recently.
Oh wow!
We were 2 people for the first 2 years. But we had to expand because it was just too much work for just the 2 of us. So a lot of respect for people that do it by themselves. I can imagine it's a daily struggle of time management.
Oh yeah.
But some people seem to have superpowers and manage.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Two more people on the startup. So yeah, it must be going pretty well.
It is.
It is, hopefully. Yeah, I've got some questions to you because we have people here who watch us and they don't really love marketing. They do it, and as I heard that you had you were pretty successful with your marketing activities. I'd like to ask you, first of all, what do you have as a positioning for Tally? How do you position it? What do you tell your audience what it is and what's the benefit of it? How do you position it generally on the market?
Yeah. So the main reason why we built Tally is because we had experienced the problem firsthand, which was basically we had used several form builders before in our previous jobs and startups, but we never really found a tool that was affordable and at the same time also actually fun to use. I can go a bit deeper into that. There's Google Forms, they're free, right? But we didn't really like the design of the forms and the user experience. Then there's tools like a Typeform, that has a nice design, but can get really expensive for early stage or for young startups, bootstrappers. They have this volume-based pricing. You collect more than 10 responses and then you start paying more. And that's something we also didn't like. So we wanted to switch that up. And at the same time, we were also actually avid users of Notion. We really like the way how the product is built, how it's a community-first product, and how you just, want to spend time in the product. So we thought, what if, we can make forms fun again? What if we can make the Notion the den of forms? And that's kind of how Tally was born. So how do we position it? We have a bit of a different business model. We offer unlimited forms and responses for free, which is the most important part of our marketing message, I would say, or our biggest USP, because most of our competitors don't do that. They have a free trial, and then you just pay based on your usage. So we decided not to do that and offer unlimited forms, unlimited submissions for free. And besides that, we just have one Tally Pro package. So it's like a very simple pricing. So that's a paying subscription. And then you get access to additional features like team collaboration, removing our branding, using your own domain, and so on. So I would say making it free is kind of the most important part of our positioning. And then we also have a bit of a different interface. Tally works like a text editor. You can just start typing. It looks very different than a traditional form builder. And that's something that our users really, really like and really appreciate the user experience that we offer there. So I would say those are our two main USPs of Tally.
Oh, these were already three. I thought the one for me was this free unlimited thing. The next one was this fun thing. Forms should be fun, right?
Yeah.
And the third one with this typing interface, this not so much clicking interface.
Right, indeed. And we kind of connect the fun and the interface to each other because, it's just the whole form building experience that should be seamless and easy and fun in the end. So that's kind of how we see it.
Okay, we can learn very much from this because for a solopreneur or a small business, it's always difficult to say why are we better? What is the point about us? What is for example, comparing to the big competitors like Google and so on. So it's really important for a small business to say why they are good.
Yeah, I think especially if you're like a bootstrap business or a small business and you decide to go into a competitive market, you kind of need to do something different, because you don't have the marketing budgets that the big players have. And for us, our business model, our positioning is different. But I guess the main part, but we might still come to that. The main part of our growth is that we have a product-led growth model. So basically, all our acquisition, conversion comes and is primarily driven by the product itself. So not from paid ads or any other marketing strategies, but because our forms are viral by its nature, you create a form to share it with respondents, and our free forms have a Made with Tally badge, so our branding is on there, which means that everyone that submits the form also gets to see our brand, and that's actually our biggest acquisition channel. Our free users are the ones that spread Tally forms. Their respondents submit a form. They also see our brand. This is
fascinating.
And that's kind of how they discover us. So it's a bit of a flywheel. It's it helps us because we're a small team. We don't have the big marketing budgets, so we just try to create a product that has a very generous free tier. That would be the biggest recipe to the success here. And because it's free, it creates positive word of mouth. Other people try it out, right? There's no barrier because it's free. They try it out, they share it with other people, and that's how we find new users again.
This is really cool because on one hand it's this joyful experience. Oh, I get something for free, and the other thing is that people do marketing for you, right? So kind of they don't do the marketing. The product does the marketing. That's strange. Yeah. I have read a little bit about product-led growth, but not too much. So the main concept seems to be new users who come into contact with the forms. it's just normal that they see your branding. It's just a normal effect, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, there's several ingredients, I would say, or several things that are important if you want to try something similar. I think a first one is as well like the market. Like preferably you are active in a large market, where the demand is already validated. For us, that's the case. There's a lot of form builders. They've been out there for decades, so we know that people need form. Every business needs a form at one point. Yeah. It's already proven, indeed, and it's a very big market, and it's easier to grab 1% of a huge market than to grab 100% of a small niche. So I think that's one thing that you kind of need, because you're gonna put a lot of effort in lowering the barriers into your product, making it free, right? So the market needs to be big enough in order for that to scale. So that's one part. Then you have the business model, which preferably, the pricing is low and simple and transparent. And in order to grow with a low pricing and with low budgets, you also need low cost acquisition channels, which for us then is the word of mouth, and that then kind of comes again through offering the product for free and keeping our users happy. And I think another crucial part there is that we have like a laser focus on offering good customer support, which maybe is not seen as marketing by a lot of people, but it is actually our number one priority. Right. It is, right. Like, you're talking to users all the time. You also learn what their concerns are. You learn a lot about you learn a lot from like frequently asked questions about your product, especially if you're busy with marketing. But just by answering within the day or within the hour to support queries, people are also really happy with our support, and then also more tend to share more about our product, just because we offer good support. So that kind of also helps to fuel the growth, I would say.
This is also interesting. So you're not using, let's say, paid channels like paid ads, or you're not using a lot of blogging and SEO. Is it what other channels do you use besides your words of mouth growth?
Yeah, so not many. We haven't really experimented with paid ads. We've done a few newsletter inserts, but those were never really successful for us. I think it's also hard to measure the short-term success of those. Maybe some people might see your brand and then try it out later. So actually, the product itself is the most important part. And then, of course, SEO is also really, really important for us to create, content that people can find on the web and lead them back to Tally. A couple of things. We don't have a heavy focus on it. I think we should. We should probably spend more time on our organic search. A couple of things that work for us are, for example, we have some competitor pages where we compare Tally to other popular form building tools, and it's a very I would say transparent comparison of features, of usability. So if someone would for example search for a free Typeform alternative, then you will see us pop up somewhere, should see us somewhere on the first page. So that's one of the things that we do. We have a lot of templates as well that are actually pages that you can find on the web, a pretty well documented help center. So all these things can be potential search results, but we're not actively blogging. If we blog, it's more about building in public and sharing our startup journey. Not really about the product itself. But we don't do that for SEO reasons because the traffic to those is rather low. We're more active on Twitter, and if we get a big milestone, we do tend to write a blog post with our learnings. But that's more like an informative something we do, to share it with the community. There's not really a commercial or a marketing strategy behind that. Yeah.
That is interesting. So the content you write has this aspect of helpfulness, right? Helpfulness and competition at the same time, because if you offer templates, for example, that's very helpful for people who are searching, like, I want a survey form for getting customer feedback, or I want a survey for this or for that purpose. People will find you. And also this Typeform alternative thing, it's a more competitive thing, I think, where people find you by searching for your competitors. That's a clever thing to do,
Yeah, indeed. And, most bigger companies also do that by just paying for ads, right? But that area is so competitive for us, so we don't even try.
It brings a kind of joyful feeling over the line here. What you're telling me, it's a kind of the brand is friendly. It's easily accessible. It seems it gets a vibe across. I like that.
Yeah, thank you. that's our goal.
So your channels are we talked about that. Can you tell me a little more about your audience? Is it what are these people like who are using or searching for form builders? What kind of people are they?
So most of our users would be startups. There's a lot of SaaS startups, but startups in all types of industries. We're not really targeting upmarket or corporates yet, because we're also the product and the team is not ready to do that. But so mostly SMEs, I would say. It started with freelancers, creators, no-code enthusiasts. Those are also the people that are most vocal about Tally and would share, and spread the word on social media. And through them, we kind of reached a larger audience of startups. A lot of different profiles within the startups. You have salespeople that need lead generation forms or marketing people. You have HR teams, that want to do employee engagement surveys. There's product teams that want to gather feedback from users, and so on. So almost every role or department, I would say, founders as well, of course, in smaller companies, use forms at one part of their journey, so that those profiles would be pretty different, but in business types would be smaller companies for now.
Interesting. How do you know all this when you were starting out? I think there was zero knowledge. How did this develop? How did you get that?
Yeah, so of course we have a Slack channel. There are now around 3,000 or 4,000 people in that. So we talk to those people one-on-one. So we can just ask or we learn from them. And I guess last year, it was only last year, we added like an onboarding survey where we also ask a couple of questions when you register. And so we ask, what type of business you are in and what type of team, what your role is. And that's how we are starting to learn a bit more about the profile of our users. So we basically just ask. But we don't ask a lot because we want to keep it like, we don't want to waste people's time or we don't want to add like more barriers. We're also not like actively adjusting our marketing messaging yet to those results, but we did think that that it would be interesting to get more specifics about who is actually using the product, to then in the future also, be able to tailor our messaging a bit more. Maybe, if you say you're part of a marketing team, maybe you want us to share more form templates that are marketing related with you, so we can make it more personalized. We don't do that yet, but that's something that we would like to do in the future.
Wow. So different learning paths. Slack is one learning channel. The surveys are the other one. When do they appear, these surveys? Let's say I go to the homepage, I click on sign up, I enter my credentials or what, my email and password or what. When do I get that survey? At which point?
So that would be, you get it completely at the beginning. So you would enter your name, and then you would get like 2 extra questions. So immediately when you sign up,
Does it have the look and feel of Tally already? Because this would be nice, right? Having a form that looks like Tally.
It does, yeah. It is a Tally form as well that we are using.
That's good.
I mean, it's embedded in the product, but it has the same look and feel as everything we do, and as the Tally forms.
That's great. Can you walk me through an example of when you do the marketing, right? When you sit down and say, okay, I want to do some kind of marketing effort now. Let's say writing or videography or whatever you do. How do you do this from concept to publishing? What steps do you do? Or did you recently do? Let's say last week or the week before. What happened?
So for me, it's kind of my role is a bit blurry, as in I don't really see it as I'm gonna do marketing now, or like depends on what your definition of marketing is. I'm also working on the product and running the business, but everything is kind of marketing related. The process. Good question. So what did I do last week? Well, I was, for example, gonna write a blog post about a revenue milestone that we recently reached, and my process there would be that first I kind of look at the last one that I wrote. So I reread that, and then I think about what has happened between the time that I wrote this one and this new milestone. Like, are there any learnings? Is there did anything, did the team grow? What features did we ship? I would also look at some data, like, is there anything we can learn, marketing wise? Did we get more users from a certain channel? So I would feed myself some info about the past months and try to look back. And then I would generally try to write an outline. So basically like a title and some subtitles of what, what would be, which content would be in the blog post. I usually run this by Philip, because that's always good to have like a second opinion. Is it worthwhile to write this? That's something I value. And then, so I use Notion for, basically everything. So I also write in Notion. They have Notion AI now, which is a feature that can help you write. And as I'm not like I'm not the best copywriter, I would say. So I would just basically add like bullet points or describe kind of what I want to write, and then I would use the AI to help me improve my writing. It's mostly grammar and to give some suggestions as well. And that's kind of how I would start, like writing every part of the blog post. And usually it's like way too long, and then I try to in a second phase. So usually I also leave it for a day, just like let it rest. That kind of helps me when I'm too much in it. I kind of, I don't know, I lose focus or something, or I start missing some things. And then the next day I try to shorten it and just really like keep the essence and reread it. And then I would share it. I mean, if he would have time, I would share it with Philip for like a last check and to see if anything is missing. And then I would publish it. These things I usually share on Twitter. They're also not scheduled. I would just share it right away. Also make sometimes some illustrations or graphics or something that, you know, is more visually pleasing than just text. I would add that to the blog post. Yeah, and that's kind of it. And then I would share it, and I would try to follow up on comments. You know, it's mostly on Twitter for these things for us. And try to answer, you know, if people have questions, try to answer them and keep the conversation going. And yeah, that would be the process for this type of content for me.
Interesting. What would you do when you should write something, or when you last wrote, not should write, but last wrote something that should be kind of convincing to new users? Did you have such material where you can assume, no, people don't know us already, but we have still to convince them? Do you write such stuff at all?
Not a lot actually, because we don't really. I mean, we have a very simple website. It's only one landing page at this stage. Sometimes I would create a new landing page, for example, for SEO reasons. So I would, for example, you know, we have. Could be a landing page called a free no-code form builder or something like that, just to get, you know, more organic traffic on that keyword. What I would do for that is I would definitely do some research first, also check what competitors have written, you know, check which ones rank high on Google. You could just do that by Googling the search term and checking the results, and just reading like the first 5 hits or something. That usually also learns you a lot. So I would use that input. I would also use, you know, my Notion AI again to help me write a bit better or more convincing, as you would say. So that definitely helps me in getting the right tone of voice. But the process would be similar then as writing the blog post, you know, like getting the outline, making sure it's visually appealing. I never tend not to publish the same day, but just have a look at it again the next day and see if it still looks good. And then publish it.
Interesting. Are you using any well-known frameworks like AIDA or like Problem Agitate Solve or like the Hero's Journey or whatever? There are frameworks out there.
Actually not not at this stage. No. I don't. I mean, maybe I would if I would spend more time or have more time to do that. But not at this stage. No.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about the hero's journey a lot during the last few weeks. Like when a person has a problem and wants to do something against it or to solve it, and they go through all kinds of things, and for example, they meet someone who can help them. They call it the guide, I think, and then they finally go through all these adventures until they solve their problem and be happy. Right? Telling such a story. Today I created a YouTube video about it.
Okay, I should check it out.
Was thinking about, can this possibly help me with my product? with this marketing software for reluctant marketing people who don't want to do marketing. Can I use such a journey, for example, for a solopreneur who is actively working on their product, and they sometimes rise from the deep rabbit hole and do their marketing again?
Right.
Maybe I can write such a story as a hero's journey or something.
Right. Yeah, that would be super useful. I think one of the, like, if you're really, but that again comes down to the what is marketing and what isn't marketing. Like if you're a solo founder, of course you also want to sell your product, right? You don't just want to build it. So you're always doing some type of marketing.
That's right.
And probably the easiest way to, like, for me, we would always, like, if you don't want to create content or if you don't want to do all of those things, we would just like scan online conversations about Tally, right? You have a lot of tools to just monitor whatever's being said on the web, and not about Tally but about form builders. So just questions, people that are looking for a form builder. And once you could basically do this all day for form builders and probably for most products, because there's so many questions being asked on Twitter, on Reddit, or on Quora, on any platform. Yeah. And it helps a lot by just answering those, right? Someone looks for a form building tool that has this feature, and then you can just say, like, hey, I'm building this, feel free to try it out, because it's relevant. It's not pushy. It doesn't feel like you're doing marketing. You're just basically, as a founder, sharing your product, and you learn a lot from the questions you read, because in there you see the pain points. You see what people are looking for. You also see maybe which features or the things that you don't offer yet. You see which competitors are being mentioned. So that I find that very useful. We just have a Slack channel where, like, nonstop there's social mentions coming in. And I should do it more often, actually, but when I have the time. In the beginning, I was doing this all the time. I would just go over them and read them, answer to them, see if I can learn something. And if you would then need ideas for a blog post or anything, you can usually get them out of those questions. It's the most useful content.
That's really good.
Yeah, the most useful content would be an answer to the questions.
Yeah. How do you get that into the Slack channel? Which tools or tech do you use to get that?
I now use, it's called Siften.
Siften?
I can send them to you. Yeah, it's Syften. But there's a lot of tools that that offer this. If you just Google, like, social media monitoring or something like that.
Okay.
And they have this is a paid tool. I think there's also free alternatives. You could probably also make something with Zapier or with Make to automate this. And they have a Slack integration. So I just connected to, like, just made a new Slack channel and connected it, which for me is the easiest way. You can also get emails, but then it's less real time, right? And it's more of a task as well, and you don't want to get you don't want it to be spammed with all these emails. So in the Slack channel, it's easy to just go over them whenever you have time. And
that's totally cool, because sometimes I have the problem, I don't know what to write about this week, for example. I have a content calendar that tells me, but sometimes even the content calendar might run out of ideas. So such a list of questions would be very simple to answer.
Yeah, and if you follow the right keywords, you might need to, like, fine-tune your queries a bit, and make sure you follow the right things, and also exclude, because otherwise you get a lot of spam. But once it doesn't take that long to get the right hits, and that really helps me to just stay up to date, know what to write about, and or just answer people, because then you're also doing something useful. You're
Right.
advertising your product in some way, but in a relevant way, because people have asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How is it on Reddit, for example? Do you work on Reddit also?
Yeah.
How is it on Reddit? Because they are very sensitive to self-promo, as I
Yeah.
have experienced. How do you do that there?
So I only answer relevant questions. So if someone says like today someone was looking for a form builder with a file upload option, and the ones they've used were really expensive. So we have a very generous free tier where you can also use file uploads. So then I would just say like, hey, maybe have you tried Tally? And I would link, of course, to the right feature page, and just say like, look, it's a free feature, and if you would have any other questions about the product, I'm happy to help, and that's it. And I guess because it is relevant, it's not considered as self-promotion. If you would just like answer to any question and not really actually read the comment and read the question, then I think you might get a lot of negative response as well, especially on Reddit. So I also don't do it all the time, but when it's relevant, I do it, and then usually you get a positive response because it's also just helpful.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a big difference whether you write, hey, look at my cool tool, or if you write simply an answer to somebody asking and give a useful answer, right?
Indeed, because if people are not looking for your solution, they will most likely also not, be interested in you shouting about it, unless it looks really good or they have heard someone else talk about it. But this is for me like the easiest way to do marketing, if you can call it that way, and like the most relevant way as well, I would say.
For me as a solopreneur, it's really difficult to switch my mind from building to marketing and back again. It's building is the preferred thing I do because I'm a software engineer. It's natural. It comes natural to me. I'm an expert in that, but I'm not an expert in marketing. Well, maybe in the meantime I've also become an expert in marketing, but it's secondary, right? I'm not really it's not my strong suit. So my mind really has to switch. Some strange things are happening. For example, I'm always a little hesitant to brag about my stuff, right? And sometimes marketing feels like bragging. I'm always trying to avoid this bragging aspect because answering questions, for example, as you said before, would be a very good way because I don't need to brag. I only need to answer the question. This would be very simple. Thank you for that. But it's always a feeling about, I'm also imposter syndrome comes in, and am I the right one? Who am I to say that? And so on. So can you help me with these?
I think there's two things. Like what I also experience, and what probably everyone has, is like the thing that is not your strong suit, you will always postpone it, right? Because it just requires more effort and energy. For me, it definitely helps to have like certain, blocks in your calendar that are fixed and that are like really reserved time to only focus on this one task, and usually to split it up in smaller tasks, like like writing a blog post. It can be a big task, maybe you need to have smaller tasks and you can do 2 of them. It's like, I'll do already the research, I'll write the outline, and then tomorrow I'll do the other parts. It makes it a bit more approachable, and less of like a big annoying task that you don't want to get started on. So that helps for me. Also like social accountability, but that's of course more difficult if you are working alone, I see people on Twitter saying like, okay, this week I'm gonna write this blog post and I'm just sharing it here. So if I didn't do it, you know, you can
you can remind me. Yeah.
You know, you can remind me of it, or if you have, you know, a partner or a colleague, that always helps, right? To just say to say the goals out loud, and then you kind of have to, you know, meet them. I think the other part about bragging is I don't think you have to brag to do marketing. It's something that we actually really try not to do. We just try to be honest and have a very clear communication style. And I think that's something our users also appreciate. And I think the simpler you make it, the better as well. I think the problem that we have as marketeers is that complexity seems to sell better. So the more buzzwords you use, the more complex or the more features you have, the more expensive it seems. But I also don't. I also don't think that should be true. So the simpler, you know, the message, the better. And I also don't believe that we need to treat our target audience as, they're just people, you know, they're not businesses. You just talk to them as people. And they're also definitely not stupid. So a lot of communication is like misleading, right? And it's very too convincing. Like, do now this because you will save time and save budget.
3 steps to 1
people
million.
Know that. Like people can make up their own minds, and they just want you to present, you know, the truth, and without usually having to read too much, because if I get a landing page like with a lot of like, I'd like to call it buzzword bingo, like a lot of I just need to read like 4 paragraphs, and I'm like, but what does it actually do? You know, like it sounds fancy, but I don't really know what problem it solves for me. So I kind of just try to avoid all of that, and just, you know, be clear and simple, and that kind of works for us, I would say.
That's fantastic. I think that it's also good to close the podcast for today. I enjoyed the chatting with you very, very much, Marie, and thanks for being here today. And I can only wish you much, much luck for your business.
Thank you so much, and I wish you the best of luck as well, and a lot of respect for you as a solopreneur. If I can help in any way, happy to do that.
Thanks for listening to the Reluctant Marketer podcast. You can find me on Twitter at bodenlabs. That spells BOHLENLABS. Or you can send me an email to matthias@bodenlabs.com. If you want to support this podcast, please share it with a friend on your social media networks and leave a rating in your favorite podcast player app. This will help other reluctant marketers find this podcast as well. Thank you very much for listening today, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.